Over 300 delegates visited Leppington's Flora International on Wednesday, July 22, concluding the 10th Biennial Australian Hydroponic and Greenhouse Association National Conference and Trade Exhibition, which began at Homebush on July 19. The Macarthur Chronicle went along for a look.
Hi, I'm Len Tesoriero. I work with New South Wales Department of Primary Industries, and you're here today with me and a whole group of us as we're coming to the conclusion of the Australian Hydroponic and Greenhouse Conference, which was held down at Homebush at the Sydney Olympic Precinct. And today is really, I guess, the field tour or bus tour of some of the farms in Western Sydney. Here we are at Flora International, which is one of our biggest producer of cut flowers, things like gerberas and roses and a few other things that they sell into the Sydney market.
So Len, Flora International of course is a Leppington-based company. What other companies are there in the Camden area or the Macarthur area, I guess, in general?
Well, there's several. In fact, a few years ago there was a problem with tulips over in Western Australia, and they said, what other tulip growers are there around the country? And I talked to one of our floriculture people, and she said, yes, it's one of the largest importers of bulb tulips in Australia, where they grow them on. And so sometimes in the sort of back streets of some of the semi-rural areas around here, you'll find huge enterprises and some of the most sophisticated technology, as you have here, where you've got beautiful big Dutch glass structures where they can control the environment very well, and they can grow roses over a 3-year period before they have to recrop. Similarly, they grow beautiful big varieties of gerberas. They've even got post-entry quarantine facilities here, and at some of the other places where they import the raw material, they get inspected through the quarantine authorities, and then they go on into the production phase. And you'll find right through this area, scattered around different places at different standards of production, food crops such as tomatoes and cucumbers, and hydroponic crops such as lettuces, and a lot of the Asian herbs and things are now being grown in hydroponic systems. So they're all over the place, they're scattered around.
And Elizabeth Macarthur Agricultural Institute is a good facility where a lot of research is being done into these areas, is that right? Yeah,
that's right. It's one of the department sites, probably the primary one in the Sydney Basin, where you've got a team of researchers. I work in the area of plant diseases, but we have a number of people working in plant and animal different crops and diseases and production systems. So it covers the broad gamut of all animal and plant production, research into diseases, nutrition, all sorts of aspects of plant production and animal production.
Sam Dominello from Peach Ridge. We're greenhouse cut flower growers specialising in liliums and attending this conference.
And that's on the Central Coast where you're based?
Yeah.
Yep.
On the Central Coast Plateau.
Right. And so how have you found the conference here, touring around the back blocks of Sydney?
It's been good. Yeah, it's interesting. The research work at Elizabeth Macarthur was good to see what they're doing there.
Yeah? Is there anything in particular that interested you at Elizabeth Macarthur?
Just the depth of their research, how they go about it, and how professional they were.
Yep. So you think you might pick up some tips from this conference and take them back to your own operation?
Definitely. Yeah, the conference was pretty a good selection of different topics, and it doesn't take a lot to get a few new ideas and to guide your decision making in the future. I find them always pretty valuable.
I'm Jason Gould and I'm from Perth, and hopefully going to be a future grower soon.
What are you planning to grow, Jason?
We're going to grow Lebanese cucumbers under 3,000 square metre glass.
I'm Nikki Mann from A Dozen Roses, and I've been attending the HDEA conference.
So, Dozen Roses, where's that based?
We're based on the Central Coast, obviously between Sydney and Newcastle, the Central Coast. We're based in a little suburb called Wangara.
And how long have you been growing roses for?
We've been growing, we've actually moved, we migrated from Zimbabwe to Australia, and we've been in Australia 7 years, but we've been growing roses for over 15 years, so that's something we grew in Zimbabwe as well.
Okay, and do you think things are done differently in Australia than over in Africa in terms of growing roses?
Principles are the same of, growing, but the labour costs here are very, very high. Basically, before we actually exported to the European Union, and quite an interesting thing is that here we actually produce for the local market. So we grow all hydroponically here, whereas before we used to grow in the soil. We basically, we supply direct to the public. We're one of the only growers that actually got quite a decent size of production, and we sell most of it, 80% of it, retail.